Meeting is being recorded.
All right. This is CDS design session, February 10th with Sarah. Why don't we get started? Henry, good morning. You're on mute, Henry. Can you hear us?
Yeah, hi morning, Yuri, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that's
Okay,
great.
Henry, we have the recording on. Sarah's going to provide some updates on the UI from a GUI perspective. Do you want to share your updates maybe first?
Yeah, so I'm as I said last week, I'm using the sidecar implementation for the CDS UI AF integration. So basically, I have a reverse proxy and forward proxy in place to service as another container in the same port. So basically, they will intercept the incoming request and do the authentication, communicating with AF. So I have done some of those. Now the remaining question is about the auto generation of the certificate and the key value store from AF. I saw there's a Jira ticket for the AI. They want to do the same thing. At the beginning when they launch the pod, they want to talk into the AF to fetching the information. That part is not in place. And as I can tell from the current proxy code, the reverse proxy and forward proxy, some refactoring needs to be done to support the auto generation of the certificate and key trust store, all those kind of stuff. So I will talk into AI and see what's their progress on this part, and maybe should we cooperate on that kind of work. So basically, at the moment, I can using reverse proxy and forward proxy to intercept the incoming request.
Okay. One more question, Henry.
Yeah.
Whatever you're doing, you're setting to enable, disable this?
Yeah, that's a flag. So it's like install the sidecar security. So if that flag is true, it will install these two containers into the CDS UI port. If that
Let
one
me
is
ask,
false, yeah.
the CDS UI OM charge, do you have something that says AF enabled or disabled?
There will be two flags. So the first one is AF enabled. That one is used for the auto generation of the certificate and the key store and the trust store. Another one is install sidecar security. So the second flag is used to install this new service into the same port, the reverse proxy and the forward proxy. So there will be two flags.
Perfect. That's. Do you want me to set up the calls with AI, or are you gonna talk to Jimmy?
I can comment in the AI ticket. I saw the ticket. It was raised maybe September last year, but there's no response yet. Oh, sorry, there's no progress. So
Okay.
maybe I can talk to the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you include me as well in that ticket if you respond? That'll be perfect.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Henry.
So
Appreciate it.
I die off now because I have something urgent in the family as well.
Yes, that's it. Thank you
Okay.
very much, Henry.
Thank you. Talk to you. Bye bye.
Okay. Shaban, do you want to share any updates before Sarah and I go over the new design? Shaban, we cannot hear you. Okay, Sarah, why don't you start? If we get Shaban, I think Shaban will rejoin and provide his updates afterwards.
Actually, I have no updates following the yesterday's meeting. I think today meeting will be to complete or to continue the changes we were discussing yesterday. So I think yesterday we are done with the template and mapping, and today we can discuss the dictionary, the data dictionary. I think you have some ideas or maybe some changes to the thing I've made in the design.
Let me see 1 second. Do you have the latest one loaded, or is this still the February 7th?
This is the same one I've uploaded the last week.
Okay, very
There is
good.
no change to it.
I think this is it, right? Okay, so same comments here, right?
Yeah.
When we get search, we want to be able to say the service within service, you have VNFs. Within VNFs, you have VF modules. You can select the VNF, or you can select the service, or you can select the PNF or the network, right? So this needs to be a little bit revised.
Yeah, it will be the same as we discussed for the template for the mapping selection.
Yes.
Yeah. So once I've updated the mapping, this will apply to this scenario too.
Okay. And this is the bulk load screen, right? So I think, so basically what we're saying is create group. We'll have the group. Do we need to have this group, right?
Actually, Yuri, this is for the second time the user, this is not the first scenario. We have another view for the first time the user wanted to create a group.
This one, right?
Let me, no, this one, let me check it from my screen.
You have this one. So first you select the library instance.
Yeah, and then
you have the group.
Yes. Let me.
And then.
So can I share the screen?
How do you get to attributes?
Can I get back to? I need to get the presentation to show it the scenario I have.
Take it.
Okay. So the first thing that the user will use this screen our scenario to select the attributes, and once he presses the import button, this will load him to the new screen. This is the one. Okay, so we are disabling the attributes he got and the sources we have in our application. To maybe it's not to force him, but to make him first selecting the library instance, as long as the grouping will depend on the library name. So once he select the grouping, the group, sorry, the library instance, then the screen will enable the selection of the attributes and source options. And this is the tab. I renamed the group for the library name. And he can also here change the library he selected, and of course this will affect this tab name. And then he can, I added a note here that he can add the attributes from here and the sources from here. That's 2 steps. Okay, and of course he can select whether any one of them first.
So once you selected, how do you indicate which group those attributes go to, or which group the capabilities are mapped to?
I'm focusing on creating the scenario for one group at once, not for multiple groups.
Okay, so whatever you select is within that group, and then you say, okay, can you step through it?
Yeah. So here we selected the attributes, the sources on this side. Okay, so this is the group. This is the group. The mobility group will have these attributes and these sources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and from here he can create another group after that.
Right. So when he submits, we're gonna. It's not like a submit group, but it's like should we call? Should we say something like push to create dictionary entries, or you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, the naming I know.
It should, because it's not like we're not really creating a group. The whole point is to bulk load of DD creation, right?
Yes.
So I think we should have in that instead of submit something like bulk create.
Okay.
Proceed to bulk create.
Okay. So I have one question regarding this action. In case of the user select number of attributes, but there are still remaining attributes that are not related to a specific group. Will we validate this and force the user to create a new group, or maybe use the remaining attributes to any of the created groups, or we will?
We don't need to enforce. If they're done, once they're, once the bulk creation is completed, right? You can
Yes.
ask the user, are you finished, or do you want to, complete the continue with creation?
So I think we need to notify him that there are still some attributes that are not grouped and
Correct.
defined. So this is just we are not forcing him, but we are asking him to take an action from his side.
Right, right. One more thing I want to say is that when we get the initial list of attributes, right?
Yeah.
We should be doing also, we should see if they exist already, right? If they exist already, then they should not be part of the list. Or we should mark them that these exist and they should not be selectable.
Do you mean they are exist in the dictionaries we have?
Yes.
So we are validating that this attribute name is defined in another dictionary.
Within that group, if you see the same attribute defined, I don't think we should allow to proceed with the creation. We should not allow those attributes to be part of the creation, because those attributes should be updated, not be part of this.
Sorry, Yuri, I don't get the point.
Okay. What I'm trying to say is that if the attributes already exist, right, then we should not, we should let the users know that these are existing attributes, and he should not be drag and dropping them to this bulk create, because they're already created. The only thing he's trying to bulk create is new entries that don't exist in data dictionary.
So you are, but I think we need to validate this in the importing step.
Yes.
Not in this screen. So from the beginning, we are excluding them from the imported list we have. Before we go into the process and then validating it, I think we need to make this as a first step once he import the attributes, and we validate it before he entered this screen.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And also the thing I wanted to mention here, that the selection from the attributes will remove them from the list. As you can see, I differentiate the buttons here, that this is move to group, and this is add to group, as long as we can reuse the source options in another groups.
One more question. Once the first time bulk creation is done for one group, right? Will the same attributes be shown in the list of attributes?
No. We are moving them from this list to that group.
Right.
So
but once this one is done, right? I want to create another group. Let's say I did half, right? I didn't do all of them. I took half the attributes.
Yes.
To one group. I bulk created it. Now that instance is created in the dictionary. Would my attribute list now show me a subset of attributes that have not been created?
Yeah, in case, let me say this example. We have here maybe the first 3 attributes here. So once I created this group, and I wanted to create another group, only the remaining attributes will be on the list. These will not be shown in the list.
Okay.
Like the menu we have from move to a list to another list, like the same as this one.
Yeah, that's good.
This is the same scenario will be applied. Okay.
Yep.
So another thing, this button will is not submitting the one group. I mean that if I created that group and click submit, this should finish the process, not only submitting this group and creating another group in the
So
screen.
you can select multiple instances, right?
Yes. So submitting this is not the last. This is not creating the group immediately, the bulk load immediately. I mean, I'm still in the process.
So, but if you click on that submit, right, it will do the bulk create, right?
And once I create, if I created this group, the current group, and I still have some attributes, the validation will appear, message will appear and notify the user that there are still some attributes are not grouped. So if you wanted to submit the bulk load, so we will ignore the remaining attributes. But in case of he canceled, he can still be in the page and create another group for the remaining attributes.
Right. But once let's say I have two groups in the screen, right?
Yeah.
When I click on that, submit group, which is my bulk group creation, that will basically create all the dictionary entries, right?
No, in case the submit, this button, the submit, the submit now we have now is validating the attribute list. And
Are you saying it's like I am completed with this group? Now
yes.
you can either create a new group or you can proceed to bulk create will be the next step?
Yeah, this is the submit for the bulk load process arrow, not just only for this group.
Okay, can you make this button inside the group itself then?
But this will be for the group.
This for this group instance, right?
So you are just finishing a group by group?
Right. I'll do two groups. Let's say I create two groups and then I want to do bulk create.
Mm-hmm.
There should be the bulk create is overall complete, right? But the submit group should be within that group itself.
But in your case, I have to press this button multiple times according to the number of the groups.
Yes.
So I think having one action.
Okay, so let me ask you this way. Hold on one second. If I have two groups, how do I say that these attributes goes to group 1 versus group 2?
Because I moved the attributes to this group and adding
it's a manual move, like a drag and drop?
Not a drag and drop, just moving. This is the list, as you can see.
Yeah, but in that move to group, you don't say which group you're moving to, right?
The current group I am active on this. This is the current group I have. I'm creating.
Okay. Do we really need then that submit group? Can we just do that whenever the user does create group? He clicks on create group. We do the validation.
So I don't know, but I think this is separate the process. I think I mean that the process is creating and defining the attributes and connecting them to the source options for the whole attributes, not only for specific attributes and go again for the same cycle.
Yeah, I just don't see two things, right? I don't see benefit of that submit group.
This is for the whole groups. Maybe as you mentioned, that we need to change the naming of the button.
Yeah, but I don't know if we need that. I mean, what if he clicks on bulk create? Can't you do that validation as part of bulk create?
But the bulk create for all the attributes, not only for the attributes I have. Yeah, this is the meaning of this button. And
bulk create, right?
Yeah. But for all the groups. I mean, if
Groups.
yeah, for not only one group. This is
Yeah, so you should make it bulk create, because we don't, after clicking on that button, we should be done. That's it, right? There should be no, you should
yeah.
not be creating groups or doing anything. That's it. You should be loading everything in the
It's
the
finished.
back end and telling the user I am completed, and and that's it. You're done.
And once I click on that button, this will load the screen and user for the data dictionary list. This is ending the whole process.
Yes, it should be ending the whole process. I agree.
Actually, this button is not activated unless the user selects add the attribute and the source option together.
Right.
Yeah, this is validating that these attributes have these sources.
Yes, agreed.
Okay. So and this screen, the user can edit and remove the attribute.
Okay.
Okay. And of course, he can remove one by one, or maybe all the list. And this is deleting the group. So in case if we have one group, this will revert the attributes we have in here and put it back to the list.
Okay.
And that's it for the process of bulk create.
I think this draft is good. If you can make changes to, the VNF selection or PNF selection that we talked about,
Yeah.
I'll have this reviewed within my internal team and provide you feedback afterwards as well. Let's not do development on this. This will be the lowest priority for now.
I think this is
development perspective.
For this is this task is with Henry, not our side.
Okay. Okay. Good.
So are he aligned with us in the updates? In this,
I'll talk to Henry to make sure he's aligned with this approach. But I want to first run it by my operations team and make sure they're aligned with it as well.
Yeah, sure. And I have some questions, or maybe a view, opinion regarding the template mapping.
Yes.
So I reviewed the idea of having the template mapping on a pop-up window, like the one you have in your application, the old version.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, we have multiple uploads and multiple importing in this screen.
Hey, Sarah, give me 1 second. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Yeah, sure.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Yuri Shadi is with us now.
Hi, Yuri.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Hi, Yuri. I'm here.
Is that Shaban or?
This is Shadi.
Shady.
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
So, Sarah, can you talk me through it?
About the template mapping?
No, you said that you looked into the, how do we do the create template
Yes.
and create mapping?
Yeah. Yesterday you suggest to make the process of creating a template and mapping in a pop-up like the one we have in your application, the own app. Okay.
Right.
Okay. I reviewed the scenario, but I think it won't be the best option to have, as long as we have multiple action happen in this creation, like the one we have in here. We have multiple. This will load multiple window above the pop-up we have. As you see, in case if we have this form in a pop-up, then I have to load another pop-up above the creation pop-up. This will overlap the screen, and this is not a good experience, and not this is validate the usability. Sorry, it's not validating. It's violate the usability.
Okay.
So
Do we have another approach you want to take?
Sorry?
Do you have a different approach you wanted to recommend?
The one we have, the scenario we have, unless you have a huge importance of the option you were discussing, so we can give you a solution for this.
Right. I think what we discussed about is that there's going to be two save buttons, right? One for package management, one for template and mapping creation, and edit. How do we make sure the user understands that? Because when he does the template and mappings, do we just auto save all the time and not, give them the save option? Remember, we had two buttons for saving. How do we make sure the user is able to manage the template and mappings like in a separate way than the package management?
Do you mean that there will be a conflict between the button we have, this one, the save and finish, and the save for
Right. Because that's what we discussed about. That's the reason I said that if we wanted to maybe avoid it, why don't we provide an overlay on template and mapping so that the user experience is only focused on template and mappings and not the package as part of that in surfing.
But the save and finish is for the template and mapping together, not only for the mapping.
I think that's the problem we will try to solve, right? We try to say that
maybe we can.
هي المابينج بس ولا التمبلت والمابينج؟ التمبلت؟
هيرجعوا الليست بتاعت، يعني هيكلت بقى الليست.
اوكي.
هيلود. وبرضه ان انا بفنش ده مش هينفع اروح للليست.
ده فينش هنا بيودي لي الليسته اللي
حتى لو فاضي هو بيلود نفس السكرين بس بالليست. هو الفكرة ان هو شايف sorry Yuri, I'm discussing this with Shadi.
No, go ahead. Just Sarah, one thing I want to say is that I am not forcing any design. I think that what when we talked, we just wanted to solve the problem of package management should be separate than template management, and the buttons that apply for template management is encapsulated and outside of package management. That's the problem we were trying to solve.
Yeah, I understand the idea you have, but just we are discussing how to handle or the issues, not to
To
force
find
anything.
the different solution.
هو عنده مشكلة دلوقتي من الكونفليكت بتاع فوق
فوق
وبتاع تحت، بس هو محتاج يخلص دي. مش عارفة هل أنا برضه مش شايفة خالص إنها تنفع تكون في بوب. كتير قوي يعني.
معلش، وحتى لو في بابا هيبقى ليه اكشن بابا برضه يعني
هو شايف إن
هتبقى بابا ما فيهاش سيف يعني.
الكرييت بتخلص هيبقى فيها ده، هيرجعك للليست، بس هو برضه ستيل. طيب أنا هظهرها له حاجة وتروح فاتحة لي برضه السكرين. هتفتح لي البوب يعني الليست. يبقى أنا عندي الليست بس وبدوس على واحد فيهم اللي هو ده. يعني أنا هدوس، يبقى أنا عندي دي بس.
يبقى كده مفيش في الصفحة غير دي
ولما
وأكليك
كريت
عليها
يفتح لي بوب، ولما فيو هدوس على
هفتح
واحد
لي
يبدأ
بوب.
يفتح لي بوب.
الكلام ده كتير قوي بابا.
هو ده اللي أنا بتكلم فيه، بس هو شايف إن دلوقتي ماشي هو مشكلة، بس هو شايف إن في كونفليكت دلوقتي ما بين السيف اللي هو بتاعت الباك
والفينش اللي تحت.
والفينش اللي تحت. مش مشكلة، أنا هقول له إن إحنا ممكن نتكلم فيها تاني. يودي، هلو هلو يودي. Yeah. Just to save the time, I will discuss it more with Shadi to
No rush. No rush.
to make
No
it
rush. We can
clear.
take it next week.
Yeah,
We can
maybe.
discuss it next week. If you have any updates, just cue me on Rocket Chat and we can discuss it. It's not a rush. It's just we you know what makes sense. Let's do what makes
Except
sense.
the idea you are flagging it now. I understand it. I see it. Yeah, it's just an issue to make a conflict between the saving above and below the template and maybe.
Right. That's what the issue we discussed last time.
Another thing, Yuri, Shadi is suggesting to add the save and discard changes in the same actions we have for the package.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that.
What do you think about this option?
Discord changes.
To make
we don't.
I mean to have the save, these buttons, the save and discard changes, to be together with these actions, the clone and archive and delete.
Yeah, that's fine.
And let me check if I have. One thing for the source definition, I wanted
طب ده مش هيحل موضوع الفينش.
الفكرة في الكونسيبت ما بين السيف ده والسيف ده. Yuri, we discussed yesterday the source definition. I just want to make sure that I get it so well. I'll review the things I got so far. So the source definition will appear for all the parameters we have, even more, even though for things we imported. This is not only for the custom creation of a parameter.
When you say source definition, you're talking about the designer view or source view, right?
No, I'm talking about the mapping table.
Oh, okay. Dictionary definition. Okay, yes. What about it?
Yeah. You wanted to show the dictionary definition for all the parameters. This is right?
Right. That's correct.
So, and the user can change it for any parameter.
Right. So one thing, because remember, if you look at that definition exists as part of resource definition in the definitions folder, right?
Yeah.
So maybe instead of adding the definition of the dictionary within mapping section, we can add it as a separate section after it goes through the enrichment process, because that is only created during the enrichment process.
So we don't need it in the mapping table?
Yeah, in the mapping, I don't think we should add it. Maybe we can add just view only, but it shouldn't be. Probably we don't need it. Can you do me a favor? Just put that as an open question. I want to discuss it today, and I want to internally, and I'll let you know. But I'm thinking maybe it's better if we do it outside of the mapping.
Okay, so the dictionary definition.
So dictionary definition, and also I think the other idea we had was the diary. The diary is all about all the changes that you make in the package. There should be a diary, right, of who made the changes that should be viewable within the package. So that diary integration, with GitHub or Gerrit needs to be supported as well. But those two things, keep them as open, and we'll discuss it at some later point.
So I'll keep it out of the table until you get back to me and the decision you made.
Right. I'll circle back on those things.
Okay, sure. Okay.
So the main one that I'm looking forward to is the changes we talked about, and also the workflow design. The workflow designer type of steps and main input. If we can get those designs out there, that'll be great to see and showcase.
Yeah, I'm doing where I think I'm done. I'm finishing the template mapping and the data dictionary first before I go back to the designer.
Okay.
I need to finish it one by one to close the task. And it's a big task to go deep with the new design of the workflow of the actions. Yeah.
Yes. I know.
And the other thing that you asked for a login info for the changes that happened to the package. We didn't discuss what info do you need in that login file.
I'm gonna circle back on that one. So the resource definition and the diary or the logging entries. Let's talk about that some later time. Not this week, because I want to internally discuss it and make sure we have a agreement of how the backend implementation can be for those features.
Yeah, okay, sure. So I think we are done, unless you have any other comments we need to discuss.
That's all I had. Anyone else want to share anything?
No, nothing.
Okay. Yeah, because the one thing I know right now, our development is kind of stuck because of some Linux Foundation issue that was introduced. We're trying to address that one, and hopefully by either today or tomorrow, we should be back in business. Okay. Very good. Sarah, Shadi, Shaban, Ahmed, thank you all for joining, and we'll talk again next week or early this week. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.